Hello, students. This is Dr. Henry, and I'm your instructor for BUS 215 Business Communication. This video is going to be dedicated to Chapter 12. As you can see, Chapter 12 is all about research and business proposals and things you need to do to plan for your business reports that you might be writing. All right, so the chapter starts out by talking about things that you need to do from the beginning. You need to analyze your audience before you even begin writing a business report because you want to consider who is it you're writing to or for, and what is it they need to know. And so, as you can see here, the people that you're doing a report for may need your report in order to make business decisions. And so, depending on what the decision is, you'll need to tailor your report to the things that they'll need to know. And so there again, as you can see on the screen, it talks about your target audience, their business goal or objective, and what they may be expecting. You want to consider all of that before you begin your report. All right, so here we want to look at two different ways to gather information for your report. We have primary research and secondary research. Essentially, primary research is research that you conduct yourself, meaning that you select the participants, you write the if you're going to use a survey, you write the survey questions, you collect the data, you decide which software to use to analyze it. You're pretty much making all the decisions yourself. You're collecting all of the data firsthand. That's primary research. Secondary research is where you are essentially using information provided by another researcher. So you may be collecting data from a database or a library or online, but someone else, some other organization, some other business or individual has done all of the legwork. They've done the selecting of participants and research questions. And if they use the survey, they've done the survey. They did everything, collected the data, and then wrote it up. And you read it and see what information you can use for your particular business report. That's secondary research. All right, so ways that information is gathered is often through survey research, and there again is commonly used. I'm pretty sure many of you have had survey research surveys proposed to you from businesses or even the school you're attending now, Lawson State. For many of you, you've probably done that end of course students evaluation survey. There again is written up as a survey where they ask you questions. Generally, there are two types of questions, as you can see on the screen: closed questions and open-ended questions. Closed questions are those that have an answer, and you have to choose from the answer choices. And open-ended questions are those where you are allowed to write a written response to the question. All right, now your book, as well as this PowerPoint, gives several examples. And in order to prevent this overview from getting too long, I'm probably not going to go through every single example, but in your textbook in chapter 12 or ebook, and here in this PowerPoint, which this PowerPoint is available in Blackboard, it does give you examples, and they'll give you, as you can see, a less effective example. Then it'll tell you why this is not as effective, and then they'll give you a more effective example. There again, I'm going to look at the first one, but I'm not going to go through all of them because then the video will get too long and some of you may not watch it. Okay, so here's a question. Determine how satisfied our conference guests are. Well, this is very wide and broad, and it's not that specific. A more effective way to ask this question would be to say, hey, determine guest satisfaction among conference attendees for key conference amenities and services. So, for example, did they like the room or the room temperature? Did they like what we offer for lunch? Did they like the types of events we plan? So, did they like the different categories of workshops? All of these would be more specific ways. So those are the kind of things you want to think about when you're tailoring your objectives as well as your questions for your research. All right, so surveys, many are done online because online you can reach a lot of people and you can collect a lot of data, and it's easier when people don't have to come to you. If they can do it online anywhere they are, you'll more likely increase your response rate. And it allows for ease of use for both the survey participant and you as the survey data collector. And a lot of online surveys do allow you to compile your data into a spreadsheet automatically, which helps you with analyzing the data. All right, so when you're creating questions for a survey, here are some rules of thumb that our book recommends. The questions need to be simple to answer, non-leading, if at all possible, exhaustive and unambiguous, and limited to a single idea. Now we're going to look at all four of these closer. Okay, so simple to answer. It means a person can read it in 10 to 20 seconds per question. That means it can't be really, really long. The questions need to be short. There again, your book gives examples. I'm kind of going to skip past these. Non-leading. When you say that a question is non-leading, it means that you're not pushing the reader towards the answer that you want them to give you, or the question doesn't suggest the answer or imply the answer in the actual question. So we're going to look at this one. A less effective one at the top, it says, to show my support for the green meeting movement, I recommend the Prestigio as a good site for business conference. In this first one, you are leading them towards the answer. You're assuming that they support the green meeting movement, and you're saying that yes, they would recommend this particular website. All of that is leading. So one more effective way would be to kind of cut it down and say, I would recommend the Prestigio as a good site for a business conference. And you don't have all those parameters as in the first one, but I would even go a step further to say, would you recommend the Prestigio as a good site for a business conference? That takes the I out of it and makes it even more effective, in my opinion. Just an example. Other things for survey questions, they need to be exhaustive and unambiguous. Well, exhaustive means you've listed all the possible options. If you can, now this is sometimes hard to do, but if possible, list all the available options or possibilities. And unambiguous means only one choice is available, and it focuses on one idea. There again, you have examples of that particular aspect of survey writing. All right, analyzing your data. There are a lot of different ways to do this, and there are a lot of tools out there that can help you do this. So you can use, for those of you who are business majors, I don't know if you are required to take the statistics class, but that statistics class would give you ways to analyze your data for a business report. Now, here it mostly mentions quantitative data, and quantitative analysis is pretty much numerical data, or you're quantifying your information or representing it in numbers because you're measuring the quantity or how many, how much, you're quantifying it in numerical status. But there's also a type of analysis called qualitative analysis, meaning that you are analyzing the quality of something or how meaningful it is to the participant that's answering the question. Two different types of data. Mostly you will see quantitative because it makes everything in a simple number, and it's sometimes hard to analyze people's thoughts and emotions in qualitative analysis. However, there are software packages out there that will help you with your analysis. When you're writing up or using analysis, you don't want to overload your audience with too much data, but then you don't want to have not enough to where they don't understand the data as well. So these are things you need to think about. And charts and tables help you to provide a pictorial representation of your data. So instead of seeing black and white numbers on a page, you can have your audience or readers view the data in a chart or a table. Now, of course, when you're designing these, there are always best practices to use. And I believe your book has several examples, but the three most commonly used are line charts, pie charts, and bar charts. And I wanted to kind of stop here and open an Excel file to kind of just give you a little representation of this. I have put in some fake data and I wanted to highlight it and go to the insert tab and show you that it can be represented in those three types of charts, and it makes your data much more meaningful than just black and white numbers on a page. And so you could go to the pie chart area and notice that now we can see the student with the higher grade has a larger slice of the pie. If you were to do a column or bar chart, you can now see the representation of who made a higher grade, who made a lower grade. And so this often helps your audience to have the data represented in a pictorial format. That was just an example. I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint. And so they didn't have a picture of each of the types of charts in here. So I just wanted to show you that and hope that that would help you see what I was saying. All right, so again, they have parameters for making your chart, whichever kind of chart you use, more effective. And so you want to have a title that describes what is the person looking at. Focal points, depending on what you're representing, you want to show the actual number or point, whether it's numerical or done with actual darts. There again, it's going to depend on the kind of data you're doing. Information sufficiency, they have enough sufficient data to understand what you're presenting. It should be easy for them to process, and they should have a major takeaway. So in the example that I just gave, it was clear to everybody that student A made the highest grade, for example. So that's what you want in your business report charts. All right, again, the book has examples that you can go through. I'm kind of going to click past these and try to get to, I think, our last point, which is here. At the beginning of the presentation, we looked at that there are two different ways to gather data. So primary research, where you're the researcher, and then secondary research, where you're pulling research that someone else has gotten. So here is some tips that you want to make note of when you're using somebody else's research. You want to avoid settling on your topic too quickly. You may want to read a couple of books or articles before you decide. You want to choose a topic strategically, meaning one that matches what your business is looking for, what your target audience is looking for, as an example. Determine the scope of your project, meaning how big or how small, how much data you want to look at, what years of data. All of this will help you narrow the scope. Finding ways to make your research more analytical. Now again, analytical speaks to analysis. What is it that you want to pull apart and look at? How far in detail do you want to go? And all of this depends on the purpose and audience that you're going to be doing this report for. And then talk to others who can help you. Others would be experts in the topic that you're looking at. So not just anybody, but someone who has professional knowledge and experience in what you want to research for your report. All right, so this concludes my overview of Chapter 12. If you have questions, concerns, or comments, you can always email me at shenry, SHENRY, at lawsonstate.edu. Thanks for listening.